we'll get to hear more than one story of brothers and sisters among us stepping out in obedience to God's call, saying yes to his mission. First, I'm going to invite Ryan Jantzi to come and share about a vision for a missional community here in Wellesley. Then after that, we want to have a time of prayer with Edward and Christine before they head off on an upcoming ministry trip. So, Ryan.
Thank you very much, Brent. I'm just going to take a few minutes this morning to share with you. Actually, do you have the clicker still, Brent? So I'm going to be sharing this morning a little bit of what Brittany and I and our family, as well as our dear friends Joel and Petra Martin, what we sense that God is calling us into. Perhaps you've heard mention from us or our kids over the last number of months. We want to take this opportunity to just kind of, to share that vision. When I finished up pastoring with Kingsfield Zurich Mennonite Church, it's hard to believe, but I guess we're looking toward 18 months now. October of 2021, finishing up, and there were kind of two things on my heart, on our heart, Brittany and I, and one of them was a desire to spend more time with people outside of the church. As a pastor, loved what I did, loved what God had called me to, but found I was spending a lot of time with church folks. Now, I really like church folks, and that's generally speaking sometimes easier territory to be in, and yet this desire, how can we live life alongside those who don't know Jesus in order that we could share the good news with them. So that was the first piece, a desire to, as we kind of figure out what life looks like, to live among those who don't yet know Jesus. The second piece was I'd had this building passion for discipleship coaching huddles. We had been doing some of this discipleship with the church and had seen real fruit in terms of a direct coaching relationship and seeing people discover God's call on their life, discover more fully the gifting that he had given them, discovering their own kind of capacity to listen for the voice of God and then to step out in obedience. So those were kind of the two pieces of we're not sure as we're moving from Zurich Community, asking God where we're going to land. We had no idea we were going to end up in Kingwood, but here we are. We were kind of thinking maybe Baden, New Hamburg, maybe Wellesley. Kingwood was not on our radar. But as we were asking God, what is this next stage of life going to look like? Those were the two pieces, to live more closely alongside those who don't know Jesus and to invest in discipleship coaching. We were having these conversations with our long-term friends, Joel and Petra, who many of you have probably met. Joel has been here teaching on behalf of Multiply, our MB missions organization. Longtime friends, chatting with them, and as we were discussing and praying, had the sense that God was calling us to live side by side in the same community. And so they have moved to Wellesley. Unfortunately, they can't be with us this morning. It was really challenging, actually, to find a Sunday that worked kind of with some of the pieces that were planned here for Sunday mornings at Maple View, with Joel's schedule being out and about in churches and my schedule. I feel like I've been here a fair bit the last little while, but the next 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, I'll be out with our churches, so you won't see me quite as much the next little while. So it'd be great to have them, but we couldn't find a Sunday that we'd all be here together, so I'm sharing on behalf of our team. And so we have the sense at this point of the two of us as families living into this and then praying and asking God who might he be inviting to join with us. We've had the opportunity to share with the elder team and with Brent and have received their blessing, their prayers, their encouragement, and then they invited us to share with the church here. So as we step into this idea of a missional community, the three questions that we're asking are, how do we engage the many in Wellesley Township who don't yet know Jesus? I think we all know full well that Wellesley is not the place it was 25 years ago. That there are a lot of new people in Wellesley, many of whom have no connection with a church, who don't have, Christianity has not been a part of their direct lived experience. How do we engage them with who Jesus is? How do we reach those who don't expect to find hope and healing in church? I could say a fair bit more about that, but I want to kind of keep within my time constraints here. But so many people, they do not expect that the Church of Jesus Christ is a place where they could find hope. How do we reach them? And then third, how can we orient our lives to live out the good news among them in the neighborhood, rather than mainly inviting them to come and join us in our space, which is unfamiliar to them. So how do we orient our lives to live among them rather than trying to invite them into our spaces? So the question, what is a missional community? There's different terms and labels that can be used for this, one of which is microchurch, which you might hear along the way, but here's kind of a simple description. It's a group of approximately 20 to 40 people who are seeking to reach a particular neighborhood or network of relationships with the good news of Jesus. This group functions as a flexible, local expression of the church and has the expressed intent of seeing those that they're in relationship with become followers of Jesus with them. They expect to see God's kingdom come to their friends and to their neighbors. Lots of variations of how you could define this, but that's from a fellow named Mike Breen. And so as I've already kind of alluded to, we are in this place where society is increasingly shifting, where attachment to the church or some kind of a sense of maybe even the Bible being authority in society, that is shifting gradually and over the last number of decades. And so I believe that this has led us to territory where we need to experiment, where we need to find additional ways of being the church and of being on mission. As I say that, I very much believe in established churches. I do what I do working with churches, MB churches across Ontario, because I believe in the church, the established church, the church in a whole variety of forms. So I want you to hear me say that loud and clear. This is what we need to do, and this is not what we should do. This is who we are, and we need to find additional and new ways to be the church and to share the good news of Jesus. So even as I very much believe in the established church, I have this niggling feeling, we have this niggling feeling that we need to explore and experiment. And we also need to be watching other areas of the world where the gospel is taking root, learning from them and what disciple making looks like in those contexts. And so as we jump into this missional community, in the months ahead, we will be operating kind of a part of, for us as a family, but also adjacent to Maple View. So you'll see us here Sundays, you'll see our kids come and go, but you won't see us maybe as immersed in the programs and leadership opportunities within the church as might be otherwise the case. And so that's a little bit even why I wanted to share this with you as a church, so you can know and kind of understand and have that blessing as we're here, but not as fully engaged as might otherwise be the case. Real quick here, these are kind of the three dimensions of discipleship that we'll be tending to. So we'll talk often about up, in, and out. Up is our worship, our knowing of God. In is our living in a community of disciples. And then out is living on mission in the world. And then kind of our rhythms for this missional community. I feel like I'm going way too fast. Oh, and so I feel like you're going to have tons of questions after hearing me say this because I'm going too fast. If you want, you're welcome to join us at our home. Actually, Brittany's working tomorrow night, so actually, unfortunately, just be the kids and I. But tomorrow night at our home, 7:30 in Kingwood, feel free to stop in, and we'd love to chat, answer your questions, whatnot. We've got Jantzi family Easter this weekend, so we might be rushing out a little bit quicker after the service, but I might have a chance to chat then too. So our rhythms, what is this going to look like for us in the Martins, and if anybody would possibly be joining us along the way. So first is our missional community family gatherings. We actually had one just last night. This is kind of home-based, and so this is tending to the up, the in, and the out dimensions. And so that's 2 times a month. And just our way of doing it right now is Saturday evenings. That fits well for Joel and I, and as we're out among churches, it kind of fits with our rhythm. As well as for folks in society, Sunday morning's actually become kind of a low-key, kind of lazy, slow sort of morning. So it's actually a great morning to be present with people in the neighborhood, and having a planned particular event actually fits a little bit better with our society for Saturday nights. Maybe we're becoming more biblical by doing worship on the Sabbath, on the Saturday. So that's 2 times a month. We are going to be engaging with the broader church 2 times a month. So that's 2 to 3 Sundays a month. And so that's our up and in. We don't want to become isolated. We want to be a part of a broader family of believers. And so that's where you will see us here Sundays, not every Sunday, because we want this to be manageable. We don't want to add in more and more and more. We want to live this in such a way that we have space. Don't become overwhelmed. We have space to live in it with full energy and focus. We'll be doing discipleship coaching, so that's an hour and a half, 2 times a month. Prayer walking once a week, and we're going to be doing then a mission focus. So as our missional community forms, we're going to be asking God, what is kind of that social realm? We're not trying to just do things for people, but be present with people. And so we'll be discerning, asking God, what is that kind of missional focus, that realm of relationships for us to be present in? And then, of course, as individuals and as families, our mission presence. And that's a daily thing. That's as we're heading off to work. That's as we're out for a walk in the morning. That's as we're chatting with our next-door neighbor. That's as we're going to hockey practice, building those relationships and sharing Jesus. And so as you think about this, actually one way that might be helpful, the question could be asked, well, maybe something you could do is set up a soccer program. And you could do a soccer program, invite lots of kids into that and build this up, and it could be a kind of a Christian soccer program. And that's actually not what we feel like God is calling us to do, because actually if you look in Wellesley, there's an incredible soccer program, and there's a ton of kids that are already there. I couldn't last spring as we were moving in, kind of looking around the community, and out by the playground, there's like, you go there on a Wednesday night, and there's like between 100 and 200 kids running all over, and their parents. And so instead of trying to think, how can we create something to invite people into, rather our heart is to enter into their spaces, incarnational mission to share Jesus. So if that just kind of helps you understand a little bit of where our heart is at. So this as we sense God calling us into this, and as we're going to be engaging with other friends and possibly people from other churches, this isn't necessarily an official program or mission extension of Maple View, but we do this as members of Maple View, like I said, partnering possibly with people from other churches in relationship with you all, and as members, accountable to your pastor and your elder team, and really thankful for the blessing of Brent and those elders. And this will be an initiative that's a part of the Ontario Conference of Mennonite Brethren Churches. And so my last question before I finish up, how does this connect with Maple View and other churches? So the first one is, we're asking for your blessing and your grace. It's not our heart to be seen as kind of a threat or drawing from, but hopefully an extension of who we are as a church. We're hoping for some grace and understanding. What we're up to might look unusual. You might be like, good heavens, why are they doing this? Or why are they in that territory? Or this doesn't fit with how I've understood church. And so if you have questions or thoughts along those lines, we would really value that you would come and talk to us, ask questions, even ask Brent. Brent's been a real blessing and support, and I feel like he kind of really gets the heart of what we're up to. You'll notice that we aren't following the usual church rhythm. So you might see us out on a soccer field at the playground on a Sunday morning if we've had missional community or worship gathering the night before. And so we're just asking for grace and for blessing in that, as it does look a little bit different. Come and ask us. And don't, my heart would be that it's, I understand in my role with the Mennonite Brethren and having some leadership with our churches, there is opportunity for misunderstanding. Why is Ryan not in church Sunday morning? And just invite that. We are going to have different rhythms of worship and gathering with other believers. And so we want that, looking for that blessing. And please know, we will be centered on the scriptures. We'll be caring deeply about the church, the community of believers gathered, and then committed to finding ways to share the gospel. So don't hesitate to reach out. We want this to be something where there's mutual learning and support. We need you to pray for us. We need your words of encouragement. We want to be learning with you as well. Next one, missional community family members. We are, as we sense that God's calling us into this, we're living into a few rhythms already. We're planning to fully start in September, and so we will be kind of asking around, and maybe as I share this morning, maybe there's some folks here that you have a sense, I think God might be calling me to step out into a new way of mission and discipleship. We'd love to talk with you. We're kind of two, not quite middle-aged, but not far off, I think, families. We'd be keen if there's some younger folks who are like, yeah, we want to be discipled in this way. We want to be a mission. Maybe there's some older folks that have a sense that God might be calling you to this and provide some elderly or older spiritual wisdom. We also want to be clear, we're not seeking to steal sheep from other churches. Anybody who would seek to join, we would want that to come with some good discernment with the people around you, with your elders, with us really thinking and praying through. The last thing we want to do is gather Christians together who want a new way of church because maybe maybe they don't like the way they're doing church, whatever. We do not want to do that. We want this to be based on that DNA of how do we share Jesus and a core who's committed to that. at the start. And then, yeah, of course, prayer. We want your prayer in this. As mentioned, there's so much more that I could say. That feels far too brief. But I invite you to reach out either tomorrow night, come and join us, or have conversation and questions in the weeks ahead. And so we pray. Would you join with us in praying that ultimately this would be toward the end of people meeting Jesus? Would you pray with us that God would bring a few of the right people along to join with us? And would you pray for courage in mission? It's great to have all of your ideals, and then as you're heading out and you're trying to God, what relationships are you leading me into? How do I invite people to experience you? That can be a little scary sometimes. It's a lot easier playing baseball on church league teams than it is playing slow pitch on teams where there's a lot more alcohol consumed and a lot more colorful language and all that. It's more challenging, and yet I really believe that that's a territory that God is calling us into. So would really appreciate your prayers. I think. Oh, and the challenge for us in this, we've had a sense of God calling us. The other challenge for Joel and myself is our ministry roles with Multiply and O&B is this fear that may consume us a little bit too much to really lean into this as well in our local community. So your prayers with that as well. So I think that's everything. We just wanted to give you an update. We want to kind of, as a part of kind of operating adjacent, but on this journey with you. And I know that we share with this desire of each and every one of you. Now, whether you're from Wellesley or if you're from Perth East or Wilmot, but we want to see Jesus. We want to see people meet Jesus for the first time in our communities. And we're just asking, how do we maybe do this in some different ways so that we can engage people with the gospel? So yeah, thank you so much for hearing from us. Reach out to Brittany, myself, Joel, and Petra as you see them around. We'd love to chat. Thank you very much.